from Your Black World. And I'm going to say welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you'd like to get daily financial news and commentary from a Black perspective, then make sure you sign up at theblackfinancialchannel.com. So today I wanted to hop in and talk about something that I just saw in the media that I think is worthy of a discussion. It has to do with Mr. Michael Jordan. Now, a lot of you have been talking about Michael all week long because Michael has been the subject of a really great documentary. I've watched every episode. You know, I'm marrying a woman who grew up on Jordan, who loved Jordan very deeply as an athlete, and had a great amount of admiration for him just as a player. And I don't know how she feels about him as a human being, but does that really matter? We don't even know the guy, right? And so anyway, most of us know that Michael Jordan made a lot of money, right? Most of us know that Michael Jordan was a great basketball player. But one story I saw today really got my attention, and I thought it was worth kind of breaking down in terms of, this is really for people that kind of want to understand where money comes from. One of the first steps toward making money is to know where it comes from. That's why I believe that every Black child as a kid shouldn't, before they go to basketball camp, before they go to football camp, before they go to cheerleading camp, I believe they should go to money camp. They should literally go to money camp where they can actually learn how to make money. Why do millionaires have more financial security than people who go to work every day? Right. And now you can sit back and hate on it. Now you talk about MJ Shady. See, I'm going to tell you, I hear what you're saying. Right. And I see it. I want to say what's up to everybody on Instagram. And I hear what the brother's saying. He's like, MJ Shady. I get that. That's fine. You can think what you want about him. But I can really tell you that it's my opinion that a lot of the reason Black people don't build wealth in their families is because we spend a lot of time majoring in the minors. We spend a lot of time majoring in the minors. I think a lot of times we focus more on whether we think a person's a good person or a bad person than whether or not we can benefit from something we can learn from that person, or whether or not we can make a business deal with that person. Right. And I think that this emotionality, I call it, I'm not going to be crass. It's too early in the morning for me to start cussing, but y'all know what word I'm about to say. It started with a B. I'm not going to say that. But I think we're a bunch of punks when it comes to economic competition. I think that part of our problem as Black people is that, when we first start off, first thing they teach you when you're Black, first thing they teach you in most white school systems is that being Black is the same as a disability. They put you in the category with anybody who's not a white male, right? You're in there with gay people. You're in there with feminists. You're in there with disabled people. Right. You're in there with illegal immigrants. Right. They throw you in a bucket of all the people, the senior citizens. Right. And they throw you in this pot, and then they train you to believe one fundamental, very crippling truth, which is really not a truth, but it becomes a truth if you repeat it long enough. And the truth that they get you to repeat is that you don't have the ability to actually compete economically. Only thing you have the ability to do is sit back and hate. All you have the ability to do is sit back and complain. All you have the ability to do is sit back and say, yeah, he got money, but he's an asshole. He's a jerk. He's not a good person. Well, I kind of think, especially among the men, I'm not a big fan of that. It doesn't mean that you can't make commentary on some of that. Like, don't get me wrong. I think that comes into play in certain situations. You want to be a good person. But one thing I've learned when I study history, right? I study economic history, and I'm like, how did these people get all the money and these people ain't got no money? Did they get all that wealth by being wonderful, kind, loving people who just gave away all their shit? Or did they get their wealth by fighting, competing, and maybe saying, you know what, you might not think I'm a good person, but the children I'm feeding, they love me to death because I'm holding it down for my family. And I get that from my dad. My dad is a military guy. That's why a lot of you are veterans. And it's a shout out to all you veterans that watch the channel. I connect very well with veterans because one thing I've learned is that in military, there's not a lot of room for whining. I don't know if they have a class on how to sit back and whine and complain. Like, well, they got all the guns. They just come over here and they just shooting us. And that ain't right. I mean, they threw a grenade and it hit my leg. And that just ain't right. Y'all, you're a meanie, right? I don't think that's how you can compete. I really don't. So when I look at Michael Jordan, you can say what you want about him as a guy. I don't care. And I don't think he cares. He's got $2 billion. So there's an old saying that says, I'd rather be hated than be a hater. Because you're going to have two choices. You're either going to be a hater or you're going to be hated. Because if you win, if you get money, believe me, somebody's going to hate you for it. Somebody's going to get jealous. Somebody's going to get mad. Somebody's going to say something, talk about your mama or whatever, right? And if you don't have that thickness of skin, if you're oversensitive, you're not going to really accomplish a whole lot. And I trace this back to our roots in the racist educational system. I believe that educational system designed you to be disabled. What's my evidence of that? And I'm going to talk about the Michael Jordan specifics in a minute. There's more to talk about there, but I'm going on a stream of consciousness here. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, and make sure you subscribe to the blackfinancialchannel.com. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Boyce Watkins. My other Instagram for the Black Financial Channel is the Black Financial Channel, so you can find it there as well. And also don't forget that tonight we're starting our investing masterclass. So if you want yourself and all your kids to know everything you need to know about investing and stocks and everything else, I wrote my whole dissertation on that topic. I spent many years studying this. I taught probably 50 or 60 college level classes on this. So I know what I'm talking about. So, and it's a great class. Everybody loves it. So feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. We start tonight. That's drboycemasterclass.com. And even if you enroll late, you can still watch the recordings. Or if you can't make the class sessions, the recordings are still available. And you have lifetime membership, lifetime access. So let me dig deeper into this Michael Jordan thing. I'm gonna go back to the previous point in a minute. So to give the specifics, basically David Falk, his agent, told a story about how Michael Jordan, what time does it start? It starts at 8 Eastern. All the details are at drboycemasterclass.com. So basically, David Falk was telling a story. He said that I came to Michael with a deal that was worth $100 million. All Michael had to do was allow them to use his name and use his likeness and do, 2 hours of interviews to, announce the deal. That's all he had to do. After that, he's done. After that, his image, his likeness does all the work for him. And so that was interesting because I wanted to dig into that a little bit so that people could understand why it makes perfect sense to pay Michael Jordan $100 million for 2 hours of work. One time I was watching this TV show. A long time ago, I always wanted to know how billionaires think. I'm a believer that billionaires and millionaires think differently from everybody else. You can't tell me any different. It's like the same way obese people think differently about food than people who run marathons, right? There is a difference in thinking, or the way basketball champions think differently from the scrubs at the end of the bench. There's a difference in mentality, right? So I always wanted to be a winner. So I studied the billionaires. And one thing one billionaire said that was really interesting is he said, being a billionaire, it's not about labor anymore. It's not that old school trade that you were taught as children, where your mom said, well, if you want to make money, you got to go get a job. If you get $40 an hour and you work 10 hours, you get $400, right? Or your dad says, oh, you can come down and work at the plant where they're paying $30 an hour. Boy, that's good money, right? And so, you're doing math in your head. You're doing multiplication. Okay, if I do 40 hours a week at $30 an hour, I'm making $1,200 a week. If I want a come up, if I want to make more money, maybe I'll work 50 hours or 60 hours, right? And the reason that that's a suboptimal trade, and it should be a temporary trade, is because what you're effectively doing when you make that trade over a long lifespan is, you're, among many things, you're trading hours of your life in exchange for enough money, not to get by, or not to succeed, not to do well, but really just to survive, not to, become wealthy, not to actually prosper, not to own a lot of assets in a lot of cases. It's enough for you to get by in many cases. And so it doesn't mean that you don't start there. A lot of us started there. I started there. I have pure documentation that I was born in the projects. My mother was 17 years old. She was single at the time. And even when she married my father, they were just two broke Black people in the same household. So it wasn't like we had a whole bunch of money. So I grew up with that same mindset. But one thing I've learned is I've studied money and wealth and how wealth kind of moves. Is I've learned that people that tend to make money the easiest are those who build and control capital. Now, here's where you got screwed. As Black people, you got screwed because there is 100% pure documentation that for 400 years, white folks stole your capital. That's real. If you're one of the Joe Biden fanatics and you're here to tell me how great Joe Biden is, or to cuss me out because I'm not voting for anybody in the next election, then go get Joe Biden to do a maybe $1 trillion capital transfer into the hands of the Black community, and he'll get my vote, right? If he doesn't do something like that, then I'm not really interested. I'm interested in things that are truly transformative. Now, in terms of understanding that, that your capital was stolen. That you were killed for your capital. Besides, dating a white woman, the other best way to get lynched was to be a Black man or Black woman who owned a business or who owned some land. right? This is real, and being upset about it, complaining about it isn't really going to fix that. I think that even if you're demanding that people do something about it to redress that, you have to ask yourself, why have you brought it up repeatedly and brought evidence and documentation of that to them every single year? But every year they act like they don't hear you. Every single year they act like it doesn't matter. Well, the reason I speculate is that the reason that they act like it doesn't matter is because, Black people are wimps. I really believe that. I believe as a collective, we scrap and we whine a little bit. Black lives matter. Y'all don't like us. You don't care about Black people, right? Yeah, y'all mean. And then they say, well, if Trump gets reelected, he gonna kill all y'all. And then we're like, okay, souls to the polls, y'all. We gonna show up. We got to vote. We got to get Trump out of office, y'all. So you've totally let go of the core mission because you're settling. You're no different from the woman who dates, the raggedy alcoholic who weighs 400 pounds and makes $5 an hour. Like seriously, like you're out looking. You're like the woman. She's out looking for a Prince Charming and trying to date somebody that's worthy of her stature. But sometimes the temptation to settle is pretty strong. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what you do. You settle because just like that woman, you may have some self-esteem issues that you need to address, right? So I don't have a self-esteem problem, not that I know of. And based on my lack of a self-esteem issue, I have no problem telling the Democrats, gosh, damn, that's really, man, you mean if we don't vote for y'all going to have 4 more years of Trump? Woo, that's going to be painful for y'all. I guess y'all better do something for the Black community so we can have a reason to vote for you. God, I would love to vote for you, Mr. Biden. Joe, I would love to show up. I would love to get on my podcast and say, everybody, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden today because he's the best candidate that there ever was. But sorry, Joe, God dang it. I just can't. I just can't do that. And I need you to help me to help you. I need you to help me to find a reason that I should tell, my few 100,000 Black people. I ain't nobody. I got a few 100,000 followers. That's more than zero, but I'm not Kanye West. I'm not important like a rapper or something, right? Because our community, we listen to the rappers. That's why you fall behind financially, is because you get your financial advice from rappers, by the way. That's not a good move, but not most rappers. Some of them are pretty smart, but most of them, they're good rappers. They're not so good at leading communities, right? So here's the deal. The reason that Michael Jordan was able to get $100 million for 2 hours of work is because he spent 25, 30 years building capital. He built a capital base. What is his capital base? His capital base is his brand. Jordan couldn't have got a deal like that in 1983. He had to play a lot of basketball for a lot of years. And now his brand, his likeness is worth probably $1 billion or more, probably $2 or $3 billion. His net worth is $2.1 billion. So that's why he's able to make money without working, because when you're making your money by working and you're trading hours of your life for money, what you're doing is you're using what is called human capital. Human capital is a problem because human capital is depleting and is very expensive, especially after you get past that 20, 30, 40 hour a week mark. Now, think about this. Imagine if you are a hustler and you work 40 hours a week for the white man, and he's paying you a certain amount of money, whatever he's paying you. That means you're giving him 2,000 hours a year or 20,000 hours in a decade, or about 80 to 100,000 hours of your life that you're trading in exchange for your ability to pay your rent. It's okay to be born in that position, but you don't want to die in that position. I can say I don't know a lot of people that can make $100 million on 2 hours of work, but I've known plenty of people who made $100,000 on 2 hours of work. Maybe because they, had a capital base. They did something. They made a real estate move, or maybe they grew a stock portfolio over time. They've been investing, $50 a week for the last 20 years. So now they've got $100,000 in stock capital, or maybe they've got a business that's built on automation and technology. And if you understand technology, you know how to automate and make money. Remember when Jeff Bezos, this is why I tell you guys, if you really want your children to get ahead, if you want your children to win, write this shit down. Please write it down. If you want your children to win, have them at least consider, focusing on two things: entrepreneurship and technology. That is where the money's at, because technology is where it's going. this whole situation with this lockdown has only accelerated the inevitable. So the people that control the technology are going to be the ones who control the masses. They're going to be the ones who can set up automations where they can make $10,000 while they're sleeping. It all comes down to understanding how to set up the right kind of business, how to build that infrastructure up. So when you're thinking about this, right, when you're thinking about building your capital, you got to realize your whole life, you're always investing. You're always investing your whole life. Every time you get out of bed, when you go, me getting out of bed and walking over here and talking to you guys this morning, I'm making an investment of my time because I believe that this is worthy of my time, right? If I didn't, I would be in the bed watching a Netflix movie. I'd be, working on a book. I'd be watching TV. I'd be doing something else, right? So you're always making investments. So what I think you might want to do is really look at what you're doing with your time and say, where am I building my capital base? Because the people that are financially secure in America are the people that have a capital base. I mentioned this the other day with Gabrielle Union. Gabrielle Union complained that Black actors and actresses, again, this is socialist, communist, very leftist talk, again, because the leftists are the ones who adopted Black people because they put us in the category with all the disabled people in the country, all the downtrodden and the outcasts and the marginalized people, right? So a lot of times you'll hear this very leftist talk, which is very not just a little anti-capitalist. Even I'm anti-capitalist to a point. I don't think hardcore capitalism is a good thing at all, right? But when you're so anti-capitalist to the point where you don't even understand why it makes sense for a community to have millionaires and billionaires and business owners, I can't help you. That's like a person who hates sugar so much that they will eat nothing that has sugar in it, even something healthy, or whatever, right? Or somebody who believes in exercising so much that they exercise 25 hours a day, right? There's a point where you go over the top. There's a point where you go too far. And the reason I say that is because Gabrielle Union, one of the biggest flaws of Gabrielle Union's whole argument, because she made this argument, she said, Black actors in Hollywood, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They should be paid more money. I've heard that conversation. That's that's leftist, socialist, communist, democratic socialist talk. She's probably a member of the Democratic Party. I'm not a member of either party. I just want to make that clear. And so I can pretty much predict what her opinions are going to be on almost every issue, from illegal immigration to transgender issues to feminism to everything, right? It's very predictable. That's what America has become, a very predictable society. But here's the problem. Gabrielle Union forgot one important fact. Gabrielle Union forgot that she is not white. She forgot that she's not white. And here's the thing, when you're white, you can talk like that, right? You can say millionaires and billionaires are the enemy of America and we need to take all their money and these corporations are vultures and we want to destroy the corporations. But that's easy to say when you have a lot of millionaires and billionaires backing up all your damn initiatives, right? I mean, think about this. I mean, if you're really anti-capitalist to the extreme, well, then why are you trying to go work for a capitalist on every week? Why are you going out on every Monday auditioning for job interviews with corporations? If you think that all businesses and all millionaires and billionaires are bad, then why are you taking funding from George Soros? George Soros is a billionaire who's a liberal who understands the importance of an economic engine. He understands Dr. Claude Anderson better than most of us do, because he understands that no matter what your agenda is, you need an economic engine behind that agenda. So don't get it twisted. When you hear liberals talk about, oh, money is evil and the dirty capitalists and the dirty corporations, they're speaking from a position of privilege. They're speaking from a position of white privilege, right? White privilege means I can be some, white liberal Harvard professor speaking about the ills of capitalism, right? But I'm sitting at a university that's got a $40 billion endowment that's going to make sure I get my $250,000 a year salary every year, right? Or I can go speak about, why it's important that we unionize and it's workers. All that matters are the workers. And I'm not saying workers don't matter. Workers do matter. It's very important, right? But it's about balance, right? I can say all that when I'm saying it on CNN, which is a major corporation that's given me a platform, a multi-billion-dollar platform, multi-billion dollars worth of capital that allows me to spew my views to the world, right? You take away their capital base, you take away their power. Any group of people in America, you take away their capital, you take away their power. So if you want to know what my goal is for the Black community, which was one of the reasons why, I talk to you guys about this stuff all the time, is before I die, I want there to be some sort of capital base in the Black community. I had to think about it in creative ways, because I know if I was a white person, I wouldn't want me on any of those TV networks, because white people don't understand Black men like me. They only understand Black men who are disabled, or who are down for the Democratic Party programs and all that. I'm not down for that. I'm down for Black people. And that's okay. I have my own platform for that very reason. But, one of the things that I realized is I said, if we want to build a capital base in the Black community, instead of starting on the institutional level, because white folks have that. They have think tanks, which are worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. They've got media outlets that are worth billions of dollars. The Jewish community has banks that are worth billions of dollars. They've got Hollywood that's worth trillions of dollars. They've got universities that are collectively worth trillions of dollars. So they're caved out financially. Even Bernie Sanders, as liberal as he is, makes over $1 million a year. And he only gives a tiny amount of that money every year to charity, just in case you want to. So Bernie Sanders, I'm not saying he a gold digger, but he ain't messing with no broke. You know what I'm talking about? Like, for real, like Bernie Sanders, I'm not trying to say he's a gold digger, but Bernie Sanders ain't trying to walk around here broke. So what I think is a power play for the community is this. There are three ways that people get wealth in America, right? When you talk about Michael Jordan, making $100 million in 2 hours or whatever, that's a big goal, right? That's hard to get to. But I know a lot of people who can make $100,000 in 2 hours. I've seen that happen. I've seen people even make $500,000 in 2 hours just by understanding technology, understanding business, things like that. There are three ways that people make money in America. One is through entrepreneurship, owning businesses. The other is through the stock market, which is why I will fight you to the death if you run around here telling Black people that the stock market is a scam. Is it a scam? Yeah, probably. I mean, the whole country is rigged toward rich people. But I can show you all kinds of data that shows that there's no period in American history where if a person didn't consistently invest in the stock market over a 10-year period and diversify their portfolio properly, that they didn't make more money than they had when they started. So again, when you're majoring in the minors, you're missing out on the major opportunities. When you're sitting on the sidelines throwing peanuts, from the peanut gallery, you're still sitting there broke. Don't listen to people who are sitting around broke complaining about solutions. Ask them, what's a better solution? Give me proof. Give me mathematical proof. Show me examples of something that actually works. Because right now, the biggest examples you guys get are Kanye West selling, these Adidas sneakers and Michael Jordan selling Nike sneakers. That's not a feasible outcome for most people. So the three ways people make money: entrepreneurship, owning stocks. I gave you guys access to the $5 a day investing plan. That really does work. If you do that for 30 years, if you had done that from 1990 to 2010, over a 30-year period, you would have somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000 in liquid wealth. So if you were poor in 1990, you were not going to be poor in 2010. You would be liquid. You would have wealth. You would have a financial base, and all your friends would hate you and get mad because they would swear that you got lucky and that somehow somebody left you all that money, right? Because that's what people do. They either get on board or they sit back and they talk smack about the people that actually implement action for their family. The third way people make money and get rich is real estate. Donald Trump, if you study the history of Donald Trump's family, I went back 100 years and studied his family. The turning point for his family, he could have easily been just another laborer. His father, Fred, was a carpenter. And Fred decided, wait a minute, I don't want to be a renter. I want to be an owner. So Fred, instead of fixing up people's, apartments, Fred started buying apartments. He bought one and then he flipped it and bought another one and bought another and bought another. Next thing you know, he owns all these units in New York City. And then the other thing that happens is if you're in the game, then as the game changes, when you're prepared, you're able to reposition yourself to take advantage of big opportunities. So for example, I know somebody who during this particular lockdown saw that as an opportunity to make a major corporate acquisition that he could not have made during any other time. He smelled that there was financial distress. He was negotiating, with somebody about buying a company. When all the stuff happened, when the lockdown happened, he saw their cash flow sink and they were in distress. So he made the move. He made an offer and they bought and they sold the company, right? So he was able to buy the company on the cheap because he was aware that an opportunity opened up. Now, whether you think that's makes him a bad person or a good person, I don't know. I personally think that in the game of power, power doesn't really have like any sort of clear morality to it. It really doesn't. It's like you have a choice. You either win and everybody's mad at you, or you lose and you just get to complain about the winners. So it's a matter of you kind of deciding, like, do you want the moral high ground of complaining, or do you want to just win and say, you know what, I don't care if you like me or not. Me and my family are good. So that's how Michael Jordan made $100 million in 2 hours. He built a capital base, and now he can make money in his sleep. Michael Jordan will never have to work very long, ever. Like, he'll never have to work again, really. Neither will his kids, his grandkids, or his great grandkids, because he actually did a pretty good job of holding on to the money that he had. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget, tonight we start the masterclass. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you'd like to join us, there's still time. Feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. So take care, guys. And by the way, if you're in significant financial distress or something like that, we actually have a payment plan. So feel free to look at that option as well. So feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. So I'm going to go and eat some food and lay down a little bit because I'm still kind of getting better from being under the weather. So have a good day, everybody. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.